So I was a little bit off in my initial analysis of the entity being NATO TMIT, Turkic Military Intelligence Technicon. Indeed, the MIT library beneath the Turan Teki in Korce, which does lead back to Wishkut Fortress, headquarters of the Bulgarian Novi Society, aka Tito's Black Palace. The headquarters, the MIT JITM MIT JTMIT library, Military Intelligence Turkey, Turkic Military Intelligence Technicon library beneath Turan Teki, Bektashi Teki, Lieutenant Rabbi Edmond Brahimi, Alhambra Cult / Society of Jesuits, that also contains the archives of the Imam Aga Khan, the Alhambra Cult is the Society of Jesuits also, is a bit of a deception because the Gulen movement is dangled out there to get you to go for TMIT. But my eventual analysis on the entity is that the entity is CSS-OGPU and then dash, for instance, NATO TMIT afterwards. So the Committee of State Security and the Czech Al-Krana Central Committee. Indeed, the Committee of State Security controls naval intelligences also, and is a SMERSH network. So we have such danglings of the Committee of State Security being represented, for instance, by CSS-OGPU-DSS, Department of State Security, which is the Romanian Communist Party police force, having Nicolae Ceausescu, Alhambra Cult / Society of Jesuits' own police force, which are the main group in the UK, the Romanian Communist Party Department of State Security, coordinating the Ismaili Brotherhood. Indeed, the majority of these Romanian Communist Party Department of State Security operatives in the UK, Brif, Oblast and Muscovy, are Gagauz. And the Gagauz have 5 passports which guarantee diplomatic immunity: the Romanian passport, the British passport, the Turkish passport, the Israeli passport, and Kosovo passport. Thus, the Gagauz can coordinate gang rapes in play parks and such in the UK with diplomatic immunity, which has been going on. Indeed, as stated, the Gagauz, Romanian Communist Party Department of State Security, CSS-OGPU-DSS, are the main coordinators of the Ismaili Brotherhood in the United Kingdom, Isle of Brif, UK, Oblast, Tatar, Muscovy. Indeed, the majority percentage of the Ismaili Brotherhood of Dervishes in the UK is made up of Tartary Poles, which is a rather interesting state of affairs. Very interesting state of affairs indeed. And the Romanian Communist Party, as stated, coordinates some really savage stuff in combination with such places as Sycamore Mental Health Ward, Bath, who were going through databases of primary school children and deciding which Ismaili dervish would rape each primary school child, which is rather sickening. Indeed, all mental hospitals, including NHS mental hospitals, are controlled by Signet Hospital, which is run by sex offenders. And indeed, they coordinate not only the Ismaili Brotherhood of Dervishes operations and terrorist attacks in the United Kingdom, but also the human trafficking of ethnic Rus women, majority percentage, via Gagauz and Crimean Tatar slave trader gangs, and also the organ traffic, which is mainly coordinated by the Kosovo mob, who not only have a majority percentage of 75 to 80% of the cocaine trade, but also control 75 to 80% of the prostitution rackets, while the Turkic mafia, which consists of Turkish, Kurdish, Turkish Cypriot, and Armenian mobsters, control the 75 to 80% of the heroin trade. Indeed, there is more rat poison in the opioid synthetic combinations sold by the Turkic mob in the United Kingdom than there is pure opioid, which these want to debate whether there is an existence of narco-terrorism. These Jesuitical narco-communism is being introduced via narco-terrorism and the degradation of the populace via the opioid epidemics, and the Kosovo mob controlling the cocaine trade manipulate the prices, thence cause different mafias and gangs to fight a strategy of tension over who gets to have the most women and bling via the cocaine sniffing culture, which is pretty puerile, really. Indeed, neo-Nazi British firms have already converted to the faith of Ishmael and are part of the coordination of the Crimean Tatar slave trade, which is very much a continuation of the Romanian Communist Party's Department of State Security, Ceausescu's police Smersh networks, coordination of the Ismaili Brotherhood of Dervishes, and indeed the Tartary Poles, which make up a majority percentage of the Ismaili Brotherhood of Dervishes in the United Kingdom, are slave traders also, just as the Crimean Tatars. So you've got the Gagauz Tatars, Kagachep, Bogomili, the Crimean Tatars, the Karaite Tatars, and the Tartary Pole slave traders, all trafficking in ethnic Rus women and attempting via neo-Nazi British firms and the Bengali networks of the ISI, snatching children off the streets to create absolute chaos via Islamicisisation processes in the United Kingdom, which is just a stone's throw away from the beginning of the Ottoman Empire. Again, indeed, the Umayyad Caliphate is one thing, but the Ottoman Empire is Umayyad Caliphate on some sort of steroid concoction mixture. And the covens were the arch sex offenders networks that were filling the United Kingdom Brif, Oblast, and Muscovy up with as many Ismaili Brotherhood Order of Dervishes of various different ethnicities as possible, so as to cover up the covens and stop Satano-Baalist networks from being exposed. Indeed, the cannibals are most scared of the wrath of the populace should the Alhambra Dominic cult be exposed. Thence, the only solution for the covens is to fill the country up with as many Ismailis as possible, which seems to be happening. But it's rather interesting, the first people to report me to the Ismaili Brotherhood of Dervishes in the United Kingdom were the Tartary Poles. And the first people to get the Santa Radianza and Drangheta Hashishinia on me, Fra Ludovico Angelico and company, was the Macedonian Orthodox Church. The Macedonian Orthodox Church controls the Orthodox churches via the Ohrid Phalacate. The Russian Orthodox Church, Serbian Orthodox Church, all controlled from Ohrid Phalacate via Tito's Back Palace, aka the headquarters of the Bulgarian Novi Society, also known as Ushkup Fortress. But the Ushkup Fortress links back up to the Kremlin via the Aldebaran Jupiter star system. So it's all coordinated from Muscovy.